to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which we meet today. I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Ferrugia. I'm an account director here at Prospel. For a bit of context, Prospel is the technology partner for this particular event, and we run a range of different websites, including gradaustralia.com.au. I'd also like to extend a big thank you to Engineers Australia, who have made today's event possible. The kind folks at Engineers Australia are committed to helping advance the engineering profession and making sure that today's engineering students go on to begin careers with impact in the future. You can become an Engineers Australia member for free as a student by simply heading over to yea.engineersaustralia.org.au. I'll pop that in the chat as well. So it's with this in mind that I'd like to introduce our three panelists with us today. We have Grad. Brad is joining us from Lendlease. He is the General Manager of Building Businesses in Queensland and Northern Territory. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy.
No problems. In addition to that, we have Zeb joining us from Stockland. Zeb is a civil engineer by trade, and you are working as a project manager in the civil and infrastructure team. Welcome, Zeb.
Good to be here.
And finally, we have Scott, a graduate manager from Multiplex. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Thank you.
Pleasure. So, in the interest of starting us off, what I'll do is I'll ask a series of questions, but I'll go in a bit of a rotational manner. So just to kick us off, we'll start with Zeb. Zeb, would you mind introducing yourself and describing what it is that Stockland does and what your sort of value proposition might be to graduates?
Yeah, perfect. Well, thanks for having me, Jeremy. It's good to be here, and hello all. So yeah, my name's Zeb Roberts. I'm one of the project managers for Stockland as part of our civil infrastructure team. So Stockland is a diversified property developer. We play in a number of different spaces. We've got the residential team, which I'm a part of. We have our commercial property team, which you look at town centres and retail sites. We have our retirement living team as well. So we're across a whole bunch of different portfolios, which gives us a great ability to play in a different amount of spaces. So from a day-to-day perspective, as I said, I'm the project manager within the civil infrastructure residential team. So what we can provide is that ongoing support from the development to get planning approvals, get construction underway, and actually, well, as Jeremy said, what is our proposition? Our proposition is we provide and create communities that we're all very proud of and provide housing for future generations to come. So what we look to do is bring people on board to fit into that value, ensuring that we can be providing what is a great outcome to Australian residents, past, present and future. So we'd love to have all of you come have a look at what we can do. We have a whole bunch of different areas in the business that you can come and play in. So our grad stream is a 2-year program. It's got 4 6-month rotations where from a project management perspective, you have a built form side, because we actually do deliver towers, we deliver houses, we deliver business and logistic parks. We've got our sustainability team, which is a big part of what Stockland is very proud of. And then we have a pre-contracts and civil infrastructure area. And then the last one's an elective, where you can have a look across our entire portfolio and just get another exposure into it, be it sales, marketing, development, finance, a whole bunch of different areas which you can have a look at. So kind of that's us, what we do and who we are in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Zeb. Really good insight. From here, I'd like to pose the same question to you, Brad. Would you be able to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Lendlease, what you do and what your value proposition is to graduates?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks everyone for having me. So Brad Prothero, General Manager for Queensland and Northern Territory for Lendlease Building. And I'm also the chair of the steering committee we have for our graduate program within Lendlease Building, which is why I really want to be here today. I guess a bit of context around me, I left school and studied quantity surveying. I've worked in the construction industry for just over 25 years. I actually joined Lendlease as a commercial manager back in 2003. And since then, I've had a variety of positions within Lendlease, various commercial, operational and client management roles, and have been lucky in that journey to spend some time in now UK and Asian businesses as well as Australia. If I put the corporate speak on, I think I describe Lendlease as a globally integrated real estate and investment group operating in Australia, Europe, the Americas and Asia. And expertise being around creating strong communities. What does that mean in real terms? Well, it means we have a number of businesses that work together and probably flywheel off each other, starting with funds management groups, development business that looks at commercial all the way through to residential. We have retirement living portfolios, we have retail shopping centre management, and we have a construction business which I form part of. So it means we have a large portfolio of work all across the globe. We've created some award-winning precincts and high sustainability places like Barangaroo and Sydney. We've got a lot of community developments for older people and for younger people that are starting out, young families starting out. We do focus on those two areas. And then probably dear to my heart, we've got the privilege of building a range of what I call civic and social infrastructure projects, like state-of-the-art hospitals. I'm in Randwick Hospital in Sydney at the moment. We're building defence bases in the Northern Territory. We're building universities. We're building stadiums and a variety of commercial towers around the country. I'd say if you look at that, so that's the raw facts, and then we try and do that through the lens of creating places that people really want and care about. We try and work out how we can provide value for not just our security holders, but also the broader community that we're operating in. It's probably inside of Lendlease.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brad. Great insight there. And finally, Scott, would you be able to introduce yourself? Tell us about Multiplex and your value proposition to graduates.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Thanks for having me, guys. So yeah, look, my name's Scott Borwick. I've been working with Multiplex for the past 8 years, looking after internal talent acquisition, and that includes our annual graduate and cadet program. Multiplex, describing us as a business, we've been on the go for coming up 60 years now, originally starting off in Perth, Western Australia, branching out domestically across Australia. And then more recent years, the last 10 years, more of a global reach as well, having operations in India, Canada, the UK and Europe. In terms of our graduate program, it's a fairly comprehensive program. And, basically with that, individuals are going to cover the full gambit for you guys that are studying, full gambit of how a project comes together, I suppose, and seeing the full project life cycle. So what we do is we put our graduates, it runs typically for around 3 years. And you're going to get rotations into every facet of how the project comes together, as I mentioned. So you're going to cover safety, environmental, quality assurance, document control, contracts administration, so the commercial side, design aspects, business, building services, so all the multidisciplinary services that go into a build, and also site management and site supervision as well. So I suppose, we're looking for individuals that are, committed for up to 3 years to work with Multiplex. And by the time that an individual completes the graduate program with Multiplex, they're a very well-rounded source. So they're well qualified and completely 100% ready to hit the ground running as a fully standalone site engineer, looking after multiple floors in any one of our buildings. So, and going on to the buildings and what we do, similar to what Brad was saying, Lendlease, we're quite similar in that way, where we're regarded as like a top tier 1 outfit. So we are specifically focused on commercial construction projects though. So your large scale hospitals, schools, hotels, mixed use commercial developments, high rise towers, that's the kind of projects that we're involved in. And the project scopes, I mean, typically we tender and look to win work, anything from $100 million value up to the $1 billion plus. That's the kind of range that we operate in. And yeah, look, we are genuinely interested in receiving applications from individuals committed to join in Multiplex. Applications are open now, but we are quite close to our closing date. We've been open for almost 3 months now, and applications for the Multiplex program closes at 5 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time this coming Friday, the 26th.
Fantastic. Thanks, Scott.
No worries.
So for all of the students with us today watching this, we clearly have a really experienced panel of essentially panelists that have been within the construction industry for many years. And so this next question that I'm going to be posing to the panel is essentially, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give to students aspiring to work within the construction sector? I'm sure that this is going to be, really important to many of those students in here today. And so to start off this sort of line of questioning, Brad, would you be able to give us some insight around what piece of advice you'd give to a student?
Okay. I guess in the most simplest form, I would say, be curious and have an inquiring mind. We built a graduate program around, the concept of being curious and trying lots of things. So it's somewhat similar to the other guys described, a 2-year rotation around a range of experiences and things you can try. We want to help you discover and understand your strengths and capabilities. And I think that, it's one of the biggest transition periods of your working career. And it's how you start to build what is a base of skills that ends up being what decides how far your career can go. So I think my advice would be curious. Stick your hand up for as many different experiences and opportunities within the organisation as you can. Don't have a fixed set of mind. Don't think you know where you're going. Be flexible and just see where opportunities take you.
Great answer. Love it, Brad. So be curious, everyone. I really appreciate that. Scott, would you be able to give us some insight from your experience in the construction industry?
Yeah, look, similar to Brad there. I mean, for us, for Multiplex, we're looking for individuals that are highly driven, committed to a career long term within commercial construction, obviously, hence all the time and effort put into the 3-year rotation program that we do. It's a well thought out and closely monitored program there. But some individuals that are driven, individuals that are very collaborative, working on any one of our jobs, depending on size and scale of the site, you're talking 25 to 80 plus direct Multiplex employees in a site office. So collaboration is absolutely paramount. And as you get more experienced in doing your rotations, you're getting more interaction with subcontractors that we partner with to help us build the buildings that we do. So collaboration is paramount. Hard working, obviously, it goes without saying, individuals that are committed and do what needs to be done to get the job across the line. But that's the thought process throughout the whole of the company. And be adaptable as well, individuals that can be adaptable, taking on new challenges. And as Brad said as well, definitely sticking your hand up for any additional work that comes your way, as long as it's within your remit and it's beneficial to yourself and the business longer term. So adaptable as well.
Fantastic. Love that variation there as well, Scott. Zeb, would you be able to give us an insight around some advice?
Yeah, for sure. I think the guys have covered off really well. What we look for is if you're enthusiastic, open-minded, and just really, really willing to have a crack at it. Like, it's an ever-changing landscape, the construction and project management industry. They'll be ready and willing to accept a very dynamic set of circumstances. So you can go to work expecting one thing to occur, but then later in the day, there might be something that changes the course of that action for the day. So it's the ability to keep on persevering, don't get sort of bogged down too much in items, and try and keep level-headed as much as possible. No one's going to expect you to know everything from day one, and I think it's one of the biggest things in the construction industry. You're always learning, so never being afraid to ask a question. Put your hand up. If you don't know something, the most dangerous thing you can try and do is pretend that you do. So just be aware of what your limitations are, like the guys touched on before. Understand it, rely on those around you, and yeah, just be really willing to have a crack and give it your all.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Seb. Okay, so from here, the next question is, what is your organization looking for in an application? And what do students need to show to progress to the next round? So I'm going to pose this question to you first, Scott, if you'd like to give us an insight into what Multiplex is looking for in an application.
Yeah, look, for us, I mean, in terms of the degree and educational background, bachelor's degree in engineering, architecture, construction management, building, OHS and those kind of similar backgrounds is what we look for. And look, I mean, it's a fairly sort of detailed process. Just if you are going to make an application, just make sure that you go onto the Multiplex website, read the facts, and ensure obviously you're eligible in the first instance. But then answer and fill out the application, attach the documentation that's required. So for us, we're looking for a copy, up-to-date copy of an individual's resume, a cover letter, and a copy of the individual's academic transcript as well. And as well as that, completing the application form and answering the brief questionnaire that's in there. That's really going to put your best foot forward when you apply. Considering that, you know, the applications have been open since the end of January. Up until this point, we've got over 1,100 applications for New South Wales alone, well in advance of 3,000 nationally. So, you know, take your time, read the instructions, make sure you're putting your best foot forward, and, you know, the usual stuff, no spelling mistakes, make sure all the documents that need to be attached are attached, and yeah, and that's going to put your best foot forward to be taken into consideration, and keep consistency with all the other applicants that are taking the time to do so.
Really clear and concise. Thanks for that, Scott. Zeb, would you be able to give us an insight around what Stockland is looking for in an application and what the students need to show to progress to the next round?
Yeah, for sure. So one of our big things is looking for the capabilities and the mindset of the individual. Like, as Scott touched on, we are looking for applicants which have their degrees. It's wanting to show the curiosity of the individual as well. We want to make sure, given Stockland plays in so many different spaces across the construction and the development management portfolio, it's kind of having that understanding of that they're willing to learn different areas of what our business can do. So one day, as I said earlier, you've got 4 rotations in there. So it's that willingness to understand each and every one. If your goal is just to head down one path, yes, we would still love to have your application, love to see you, but also love to ensure that you want to see different areas of the business, because what I found across my career is you start off in one direction, you can end up in another. So until you've actually experienced it firsthand, you don't know what you might be passing up on. So just as a quick background on me, I know it's probably taking a different step. I started off as a general contractor straight out of university. From that, I've moved into a consultancy firm, and now I'm sitting on the client side as a project manager for a developer. So you do see a lot across your career. So it is, like I touched on before, having an open mind, being curious, always wanting to learn more and see what you can do. And if you can put that across in your application, we'd love to see it. That would definitely put you front of mind for us.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Zeb. Good insight into your background as well. Brad, would you be able to give us an insight around what Lendlease is looking for in an application and what students need to do to progress to the next round?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I mean, the technical and learning parts are very similar, I think, between the organisations. And if you go to lendlease.com under our career section, there's quite a specific list there for the technical parts and the attachments we're looking for. I think my recommendation would be to make sure in your submission you show something of yourself as a person. I mean, a huge part of what we do is actually people management as opposed to a technical side. The technical becomes the ticket to play to become a people person. So try and show that you're a curious and like a forward-thinking individual, that you've got an appetite to develop and grow. And I don't mean whether you're new to the industry or you've been learning the ropes for a while as an undergrad, or through other experience. You know, show you're a bit hungry. Are you hungry to learn? That you want to explore opportunities. That you want to take on a challenge, but you already understand that you still need a bit of guidance along the way if you're going to be a success. I'd be keen to see if you can demonstrate a level of experience or understanding in being customer focused, or even being resilient or dealing with challenges, setbacks or pressure. And yet that doesn't mean something in the same industry. It could be something you've had to deal with in your time at university or in another job or a life experience. So the sorts of things I think really paint the real picture of people applying. And then lastly, ambition. You know, that really show that you've got your own take on the world and you want to make your mark on Lendlease. My advice.
That's great. I can see that, you know, these soft skills are definitely just seen as quite important by all panel members here today. Thanks for that, Brad. From there, the next question is essentially around, for students who land a job with you, what advice would you give them to help them survive their first year? So, i.e., what shouldn't they be doing? So for this one, it's a little bit different. We're talking about the big things not to do. So I'll put it to you, Zed, first and foremost. Any thoughts and advice you can give to our students?
Don't be afraid to speak up, I think, is the big thing. We really try and empower all of our employees, be it from the graduate all the way to our EXCO CEO members. Everyone gets a voice within Stockland. So the big thing is take that opportunity to speak up. You're going to come into, if you do land the role, you'll come into it with different experiences, life experiences, things you've seen out there. We're always willing to learn as a business what you can bring. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be shy. It's can be scary, I know, coming out of university into a corporate world or working world, but it is taking those opportunities. So don't sit back. Don't be a passenger. Take control of what is in front of you and the opportunities that are given to you.
That's great. Thank you. Brad, should you be able to give us an insight about what not to do?
What not to do or what to do? What not to do?
Sorry, what you shouldn't do within your first year within a graduate program.
I think what you shouldn't do is don't isolate yourself and don't sit in a corner. The whole graduate program experience is meant to be one of immersion. Right? We put a lot of planning into moving you through different parts of the business to be exposed to lots of different roles. So don't isolate yourself. Be prepared to go and shake hands and meet people and experience things. And don't assume you know things. You'll be lots of things that are new to you, and it's perfectly okay to not know. That's why you will be in the graduate program. Stick your hand up and tell people, and you'd be amazed at how many people want to help if you ask a question.
Perfect. Being proactive, everyone. That's great. Scott, any insight around what grads shouldn't do within their first year?
Yeah, same deal. Don't shy away from anything. Don't try and hide in a corner. You know, definitely you should be showing a genuine interest and communicate regularly. Individuals that don't speak up, don't back themselves, are not going to necessarily last long in this industry, unfortunately. You know, be confident in your abilities, be respectful of others around you, and the fact that their knowledge base is way more than yourself. And listen, and just be an absolute sponge for the duration of the program.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. So we've got one more official question, which we'll run through, and then from there we'll be taking a few questions if we have time before the 2:30 mark. But final question is essentially, why should students apply for your organization? So Brad, would you be able to give us an insight into why students should apply for Lendlease?
Okay. Well, it's probably pretty hard to sum up in a really short, succinct message, but I would say that, you know, from my view, Lendlease being a genuinely global business and having such a diverse range of businesses within it that are still really properly integrated that work together and therefore able to, you know, provide the opportunity to move in between those businesses. I think Lendlease offers a really unique chance to build an amazing career path and see, you know, a lot of the world or experiences you might not have somewhere else. And I know I've been, you know, really fortunate to enjoy that in my career. I probably follow, you know, that logic with a cheeky sort of second reason to say that, you know, I reckon Lendlease is one of those organisations that actually has a genuine focus on making a difference while they operate. A place that's all about making a positive difference to the communities in and around wherever our businesses operate, whether it be the community we're building or even the community in which we are building. So that'd be my two key points.
Love it. Thank you, Brad. Scott, would you be able to tell us why students should apply for Multiplex?
Why should you? Why should you apply for Multiplex? Yeah, look, as I said earlier, we've been operating nearly 60 years. We've got a very comprehensive graduate and cadet program. We look after our grads. There's a high expectation of the output from those individuals, but there's a lot of time and effort put in from other areas of the business as well. And like I said, the various rotations, you're talking about doing 7 rotations around the course of a project. By the time you come out and finish your program, you're a very well-rounded and capable engineer. From there, within Multiplex, genuinely your career is your own. There's no hard or fast rule as to which direction you want to go in. And the fact that individuals got the opportunity to do all those rotations, it gives them a good opportunity to get a feel for how a large-scale project comes together, and you know, really hone their skills and head in a particular direction. So from coming out the graduate program, typically individuals, like I say, will be going into a site engineer position. But from there, you know, you go into project engineer, you go into site supervision, you go into contract administration on the commercial side, or you focus your efforts on safety or building services. So yeah, like I say, the world's your oyster, your career's your own. We make sure that you know, all the assistance and development opportunities are put in place to make sure that we're setting our individuals up for success. We're never setting anybody up for failure. And yeah, very good people within the business as well. I'm biased because I've been here 8 years. I wouldn't be here 8 years if I didn't really enjoy it. But even though the size and scale that we are, it's still genuinely got that sort of family feel to it. Everybody's approachable. It's a very flat structure in head office here. Regional managing director, regional directors are approachable as much as the, you know, Sue from payroll. So yeah, I highly recommend having a look at the program, jumping online, and if interested and it's aligned to your skill set, make a formal application before they close.
The world is your oyster and your career is your own. Absolutely love that, Scott. That was awesome. Seb, would you be able to give us an insight around why students should apply for Stockland?
Of course, I think I can sum it up in 2 words: opportunity and culture. I think, as the other guys touched on, Stockland also is a great place for opportunity for a younger graduate to come in. Our graduate program is a guaranteed role. So you come in there, it's a 2-year program, but you're guaranteed ongoing work afterwards. So you come in there, you do your rotations, there will be a role in whatever capacity it looks like for you after that process. So you come in, you do your rotations, you experience what the business has to offer, and then you move on and continue your career with us, because we are very, we're big enough to provide a lot of opportunity, but we're small enough to really feel like a good close-knit community as well. So we've got offices in Melbourne, where I am right now, Sydney, New South Wales, Brisbane and Queensland. We're moving into Adelaide as we speak. We've got a heavy presence in WA. So we're national. You can have the opportunity to move between states. You have that opportunity out there. And everywhere you go, it is like you're just moving into another area of your family. Again, like I'm biased as well. I love working here. It's a great place to be. It's a great culture. Very much looking forward to going back into the office more and having those after work drinks, which is a big part of what we like to do. It's about making everyone feel comfortable in what they are. And then from an actual work perspective, it's about doing something you're really proud of. At the end of the day, when we get some registered new lots and you can see a new family move into their home and you can actually witness their enjoyment, it really reflects on ourselves and the great things that we do to build communities, which we truly are proud of. And at the end of the day, it's kind of what really matters.
It's amazing. Thanks for that, Deb. So we do have 2 minutes remaining before we're going to have to jump off this webinar. So with that in mind, I am just having a look through the questions in the chat, and we've actually had quite a few questions relating to internships in particular. So just to put it out to the panel, do any of you today actually take on internships into your organization?
Jeremy? Yeah, we take on internships more on a, it's related to the graduate program, but it tends to be on a application basis, and we consider it. But last year in my office, we had a number of undergraduates who wanted us, which has gone on to join our graduate program this year.
Fantastic. Scott, Deb?
Similar to that, yeah. We've had work experience individuals who've been with the business for 6-12 months, and they've converted straight into that sort of graduate and cadet realm as well. So yeah, Luke, we do have internships. We do have work experience opportunities as well. In terms of exact capacities as to what we can bring on between now and the end of the year, I don't have that information, unfortunately, but certainly if there is a genuine interest, the best bet is to email graduates@multiplex.com, and we can respond accordingly if anybody is genuinely interested in that pathway.
Thanks, Scott.
For Stockland, we don't have necessarily a structured internship program, but it is kind of an ad hoc. If there's openings, there might be an opportunity to fill them. So similarly, if you want to email careers@stockland.com.au, if you are genuinely interested, I'm sure we can have a look and get back to you in due course.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Seb. So it is 2:30 on the dot. So I'm sure everyone at home has thoroughly enjoyed the last 30 minutes, as I have. It's been really insightful. If I was applying for a role in construction, I'd be over the moon right now. I'm not. So thank you all for joining us. You've all been fantastic in giving us an insight into your organization. So if everyone at home just, a quick little clap for our panelists, that would be amazing.